Well, time now for tonight's Night Court. We pass no judgment on these stories, but present them to you, our jury, for consideration. A Satanist group is challenging a Missouri state law which requires women seeking abortion to get a booklet saying life begins at conception. The case was heard this week at the Missouri Supreme Court. We now await their decision. This is what the Satanists allege. They say the law violates the Constitution's Establishment Clause as well as the state's Religious Freedom and Restoration Act. Our legal eagles are here to argue both sides. Bob Bianchi, a criminal defense attorney and former head county prosecutor, he has volunteered and been good enough to represent the Satanist side, so don't blast him on Twitter if that's not your position. And Emily Compagno, a former criminal defense attorney and former federal attorney, will represent Missouri State. Welcome to you both.
Good to be here, Shannon. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the state of Missouri's argument, Bob. Even if this plaintiff here has alleged a restriction on free exercise of religion because she says her religion, as Satanist, tells her that this is not, there's no life begins at conception, any of that. The informed consent law clearly serves a compelling state interest and is not unduly restrictive on her asserted exercise of religion. How do you respond?
Okay, so to the jury, here's what we got here. First of all, let's set it straight that these people are not devil worshippers. They use this title for branding. What they are is anti-government intrusion and individual liberty people, and they go around trying to make sure that government doesn't interfere with their individual liberties. The irony here, Shannon, is that the Catholic Church, evangelical Christians, this Satan temple, as they call themselves, and others actually have something in common. Hobby Lobby. They believe government should not be involved in reproductive rights of women, and they believe that, by the way, it's not just a booklet. They've got to wait a 72-hour period. They have to sign off on this document that says that conception is where a human being is separate.
That they've read it, not that they agree with it, but that they've read this booklet.
Right, and then they have to wait 72 hours. And what this group is saying is that the Satan here is the government. The government has no right to interfere with the reproductive rights of women, just like they didn't with Hobby Lobby. And they're using Hobby Lobby, the evangelical Catholic Church case that said the Affordable Health Care Act could not mandate or should not mandate that companies, Hobby Lobby in particular, force them to buy insurance with contraception. They're using that to say same thing here. I think they're going to have a good argument constitutionally.
All right. Let's bring in Emily here. This is what the Satanic Temple spokesman, Jex Blackmore, and I mean, choosing the Satanist temple as your branding method is an interesting choice, whether you believe in it or not. Interesting branding. All right, no medical or other compelling purpose, they say, for this law. They say the state has essentially established a religious indoctrination program intended to promote a religious viewpoint that life begins at conception. The law is intended to punish women who disagree with this opinion. So, Emily, why should it be upheld?
Right. I mean, that's obviously inflamed rhetoric on the part of the spokesperson, because the bottom line is that the informed consent laws, as you stated earlier, clearly serve compelling state interests and are not unduly restrictive on this woman's asserted free exercise of religion. Now, it's important to note for viewers that the United States Supreme Court has taken a hands-off approach to the individual states' decisions of pre-abortion laws, of these informed consent laws. And Missouri is far from alone in its conservative approach. Almost half the states require some sort of waiting period. Almost 40 require counseling, and along with Missouri, 10 require ultrasound viewings, and 5 require that communication that personhood begins at conception. Now, conservative Missouri just in 2007 rendered midwifery legal. And I bring that up because the reason this case is before the Missouri Supreme Court is on a jurisdictional issue. It's not that the lower courts decided in favor of plaintiffs here. And note, in 1989, the U.S. Supreme Court showed deference to restrictive abortion laws coming out of Missouri Supreme Court and said, we note that our holding here today allows for governmental regulation in the abortion field that wouldn't have held up under prior state Supreme Court laws. So essentially, they're letting Missouri have autonomy, and if it ever becomes before the Supreme Court, they'll approve it as well.
All right. Well, you two have made very interesting arguments, Bob and Emily, and we'll wait to see what the Missouri Supreme Court decides. In the meantime, we thank you both, and we would love for our jury at home. Let us know at Shannon Bream or at Fox News Night how you would decide this case. And again, no hate tweeting, Bob. Thank you.
Thanks.